Good morning, City Lifers. I want to share with you today something that God's been showing me. It isn't necessarily an easy thing, but I feel that sometimes when I share the thing that God's doing with me, it releases things to other people. So the other night I had a dream or picture where God was giving me a choice between two things. So on the one hand, I saw a gold chain, and from that chain came down other chains, and on those chains were set garnets. And I felt like the garnets represented the promises of God over my life. And I felt like God say to me, you can have a choice between those kind of jewels, or you can have snowflakes as jewels. Now the snowflakes were iridescent, they were completely from his hand, and they were absolutely full of his glory and wonder. And the garnets were beautiful too, but they were man-cut and man-made and from earth. And I felt like God challenged me and say, at the end of your life, when you come before me in heaven, would you rather bring me the garnets, or would you prefer to bring me the snowflakes? Now the snowflakes represented the things of heaven, and the garnets represented the patterns of earth. And as I carried the garnets up into heaven before God, the gold chains became like prisoners' chains, and the garnets became really heavy like boulders. And I just feel like through this, God was saying to me that I shouldn't interfere with the promises that he has over my life. I shouldn't try and manufacture them into the shape that I feel comfortable with. I shouldn't take his word and make it into something that I want it to be, or reject it because it hasn't come in the way that I feel comfortable, or in the way that I was expecting. And it's easy, I feel, to have expectations about the promises of God over our lives. But for me, that's choosing serving God in the way that I want to choose, rather than allowing him to come and choose that service for me. And I felt him say to me, Emma, the words are good and true, but you need to wait for me to release them in the way that I intend them to be. And the service must come in the way that I choose, not the way that you desire or feel comfortable with. And that process, I feel, involves a lot of waiting and quite a lot of frustration. And it also involves a reordering of the mind. And I think that's really key for the season that we're in. I feel like increasing in faith involves the reordering of our minds. And I know that Bev talks about it in terms of repentance. And it is a repentance. It's allowing God to come in and search us deeply, to unearth our motives and change our thinking so that he can reorder them into the pattern and design that he has for us. Because that's a blessing. That's like the snowflakes. It's full of wonder. And as we hold those kind of jewels out to God, and as we present those to him, we will be awestruck by the majesty of God and the glory that he's worked into our lives. And if I want my life to be about the glory of God, and I'm sure you do too. And that when we get to heaven, we don't want our lives to be about our own glory. We don't want to find that we've been building our own kingdoms and not his kingdom. So let's spend time today before God and ask him to change our thinking, our desires and our thoughts, so that we bring glory and honour to his name. And as we do that, that it will enable us to bring his kingdom here on earth.